What is up? What is up? Grace and peace, grand rising. Good morning to everybody. So, I'm not going to be on long. I know I say that. However, we're going to try to get the message out as intended. Okay, hold on a second, guys. Let me get up my fair use. So, today's Thoughtful Tuesday actually is coming from Mindful Monday. Um, couldn't come on today and can't stay on too long today. So try to push through. All right, so fair use. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purpose such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. All right, now that we got that out the way, I am going to be going into some articles that were written back in December 8th. And then there was another one that was written December 19th. So I wanted to just reach back a couple of months ago because I did I think it was a freestyle Wednesday or something like that, or it was a midweek check-in, but I was talking about a couple of topics, and one of those topics was about Tupac and this alleged person who's involved with with Tupac's assassination. Also, I had read out of the book, The FBI War on Tupac Shakur and Other Black Leaders by John Potash, and just explaining how, the way this case is being presented in regards to Keefe D, there's no way in it. First of all, looking at the whole situation now, you would have to really be oblivious or naive to think that this man, Keefe D, is the only person or the person that acted in the assassination of Tupac Shakur. And for you to think that it was a gang-related situation or any type of, we'll say gang retaliation, is not the case. It is not the case. And I'm going to just talk about that with reading this out of the Tupac Shakur book, The FBI War on Tupac Shakur and Black Leaders. I'm going to bring back to you and remind us how the FBI, the CIA, the Alphabet Boys, the Alphabet Stew, the Alphabet Soup concoct certain things, right? And fixes and finagles where it makes it look like it's one thing, but it's really another. Okay. So Tupac's biological father came out December 8th in the article stating this, and I got it from Power 105 in New York City. Okay, his biological father, Tupac, Billy Garland, speaks out about the following arrest of Keefe D, or Dwayne Keefe D. Davis, who was arrested on September 29th, 2023 in Las Vegas. Now, I'm going to just stop there. That's the title of the article. We have to put in perspective that Keefe D has not been arrested or in conjunct. He's only been questioned about the assassination of Tupac Shakur. But Keefe D has been living pretty much a remote life and under the radar in Las Vegas for 11 years. Post that, he's been on YouTube and has written a book in regards to the assassination of Tupac Shakur. If this man has any involvement, but has been professing in some ways that he was in the car with the alleged shooter, wouldn't he be locked up already? Isn't that accessory to homicide, murder? I mean, I don't know. I'm not a lawyer, disclaimer. I'm not any in the legal field. I don't really know about criminal cases like that. But wouldn't it question or have us think, why is this man still walking around? How has he got the liberty to go on social media platforms? And how does he get to write a book saying that he was involved in a high profile, mind you, high profile murder case? So my wheels got to turning, and that's why I'm like, this is what it is, guys. That's what it is. Because there's no way. Again, I have no legal background. I don't know stuff like this, but it's making me think otherwise. Because it's making me think, how is this man walking around here, right? So now they got him locked up. I think, in my humble little opinion, that somebody's digging around again in this case. Because what would bring all this revelation back up, right? So, and I haven't been following it like that, so I don't know what made the leads to go and investigate Keefe D. I mean, I know he's been on their radar, clearly. But is he on their radar for their purpose? Or did somebody trip federal investigation on this? Like what, So anyway, let's go into the article, December 8th, that Tupac's biological father, who was also a Panther, an ex-Panther now, and yeah, for better or for worse, he wasn't involved with Pac in that regard, like in his life that way. But he did get to see his son, before Pac transitioned, and he did get to talk to his son back in '94. And we don't really know the whole behind the scenes, right? So they might have had correspondence back and forth with each other throughout the years. Maybe not as tight as him and Matulu, but nonetheless, that's Tupac's biological father. And he knows how the FBI and all of them get down. They dismantled the whole FBI on purpose. So Billy Garland says, Garland, said Davis was just a tool and a pawn, and that he doesn't believe that he's the only one responsible for Tupac's death, adding that there was a larger conspiracy involving law enforcement and the U.S. Government, per the Hip Hop DX. So in this article, Tupac's father is addressing the fact that Keefe D has been arrested now in conjunct to his son's assassination, right? And he doesn't believe that Keefe D is the sole person, nor does he believe that, and he believes that Keefe is just a tool and a pawn, which is what I've been saying for the past couple of months. I've been saying that Keefe D is the patsy. He is the Lee Harvey Oswald to your JFK. There's a lot of moving parts behind this assassination of Tupac, and furthermore, it's going on to almost 30 years. Half of the people that were witnesses are gone. They've been taken off the playing field, or they're just, old, or some have been silenced into not saying anything, right? So here you got this one person who's a criminal, right? A known criminal, who's done, nefarious things, but, involved with guns, drugs, and violence. And you're going to try to make this whole case stick to this guy. It's not going to happen. And as a matter of fact, he's now out on bail. We're going to go into that. Let's continue with the article. So Billy Garland says about Keefe D, he's not a very intelligent individual, in quotes. He said before, referring to Davis's alleged past comments on the murder, in quotes, when you go on air and you say you participated in a high-scaled assassination, eventually it's going to come back on you. I'm surprised he went that far and that long without them arresting him. Exactly, Billy Garland. This is exactly what I've been questioning and I've been saying for the past couple of months. Regardless of how I feel about Tupac, as you guys know by now, but certain things, like facts is facts, regardless of how we feel, and some discrediting Tupac for who he is. But we're talking about somebody's life at this point, right? And then think about how the industry, right, especially when we're talking about the newest things that have been happening lately, the revelations that have been happening lately about these industry people. So whether you think Pac was helpful or harmful to the music, specifically the rap industry, is not really here nor there, because the fact is that this man's life was taken. And it was taken on an agenda, because in their agenda, they wanted to usher in a certain type of genre, if you will, for this industry, for the industry, right? So, in the beginning, think about when Tupac first started, when he first came on the scene, he was addressing social issues, right? Social injustices. You can go back and see the interviews that he's had with certain people, and explained, like, listen, how is it, there's infamous quotes, how do you have this government has money for wars but can't feed the poor, right? And how does these rich people have all these mansions and these rooms, but you can't put up shelter for homeless people? And that was a little over 30 years ago, maybe 30 years ago. You look now, what is the social climate? It's the same thing. Nothing has changed. In fact, it's a cycle that's becoming like its predecessors of the 80s. Because it's not war on drugs anymore. It's all out. It's all out with the drugs. Like the powers that shouldn't be addressed it as war on drugs. But where did you get the drugs from? Who supplied it? Who infiltrated it? When you start going down that hole, then you'll know who really is the big drug dealers. So when Pac was addressing these things in 90, 91, 89, that's what put certain people on the radar, like, oh, I think we may have a problem here. Because we got somebody who wants to unify and unite instead of shoot them up and feed them with drugs and delete them off the planet Earth, right? So let's continue with what William Garland, Tupac's biological father, said about Keefe D. And also put in perspective that Keefe D was arrested back in September 29, 2023. Prior to all that, Keefe D has been going on numerous media sites, right? He wrote a book about how he was involved in this high profile case. But he was not locked up for that. So I don't know who's been doing the digging. It could have been, part of the SHAKUR members. Who knows? I don't know. That would bring back this case for it to be opened up again and to see what's really going on here. Because that would then lead you to the smoking gun, right? And then the arrest now of Keefe D. And you really don't have any salute. Yep, that's right. Always stay woke and prayed up. I like that. God bless. Aquarius season is coming. That's right. And y'all know I like me some Aquarians. So anyway, Keefe D's father, not Keefe D's father, Tupac Shakur's father, biological father, says, in this article about how he doesn't think, Keefe D is competent enough to pull off an assassination to that degree. And when you look at the footage and, all the police reports and things like that of how Tupac was taken out, yeah, it looks very orchestrated. Also, you now go to Biggie Smalls' assassination, right? And look how it's parallel. The cars were blocked. Biggie's on the right side of the car. He's in the passenger seat. Tupac's in the passenger seat. Biggie was blocked off. Pac was blocked off. And you guys are really going to sit here and be like, that's gang retaliation. Now, granted, I would say for us that was there during that time frame, yes, we would think, that looks gang related, right? That looks like retaliation on the others. But when hindsight is 2020, and you know who can orchestrate certain big time profile assassinations, then it really starts to make sense that it's not what you really think, what you think it is. Smoke and mirrors. Okay, let's continue on with Billy Garland. So he says he continued, he was in the car that's aiding and abetting a murder, talking about Keefe D. And I'm glad that he brought this up because this is what I was saying all along. You guys could go back to the 3 months ago, September live. I was saying this, I've been saying this since then, since Keefe D's been arrested. Like, no way that this man by himself, or if he was in the car with the alleged shooter, how are you not locked up? How do you get to still walk around freely for 11 years in a nice community in Las Vegas at that? And that community's got me suspect too, but that's neither here nor there. But then be able to go on social media platforms and talk about how you were involved. And no one bats an eye still. Like what? He was talking about that a couple of years ago, wrote a book about it. And still not part of, still not like, okay, let's lock him up because now he's confessing. But then they're like, oh, that's not a confession. It's really not. I don't know, guys. I don't know. But all I know is I'm Billy Garland saying the right thing, because that's exactly how I was thinking. So he said, basically, again, in quotes, he was in the car that's aiding and abetting in a murder. But he was doing his part with the rest of the people who were talking about the Orlando Anderson murder, right? He was fulfilling that glitch and adding to their truth, which we all know wasn't true. So Billy Garland is talking about, who's Tupac's biological father, talking about this whole thing is not making sense. And he knows how things get done. He was a Black Panther. And he wasn't no just driver, the way certain people portrayed him to be. And whatever the relationship that him and Afeni Shakur had, that's their relationship, right? He's been painted one way and he's now talking out. It's not being slanderous. He's just getting out his side of the story of things. And he's not even really like justifying too much about it, because he's trying to let y'all know that, listen, all of us was part of a group that was taking care of the community. But that the real boogeymen didn't want us involved in that, didn't want us to help the community out. And so what did they do? They started pumping drugs to the head leaders, Dr. Hewitt P. Newton. Afeni Shakur also gets hooked on drugs. They all get infiltrated one way or another. Fred Hampton gets assassinated. His camp was infiltrated. And somebody close to him was the one feeding back to the FBI. So yeah, Billy Garland is talking on that aspect. So we can't get caught up in the, oh, but he wasn't around with Tupac and he doesn't know, da 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 da. He knows about what the organization that he was a part of, and the organization that's bigger and part of and part of a worldwide connection. He knows how they operate. So he's not really here to clean up his picture of why he wasn't involved and around with Tupac. He said it. His mother, Afeni, had Pac very close under radar with her. And rightfully so, because she herself did something that was like unheard of. So you don't think that they weren't going to watch her? She was able to get herself and 20 other people free off of a federal conviction and be pregnant at the same time. It's big. It's bigger than Billy Garland. It's bigger than Afeni. Like, so we have to get out of the. We got to get out of grown folks' business. Mind our business about their relationship, and understand that there was an agenda to dismantle a group that can only take care of the people, because the so-called alphabet people weren't doing that. Let's continue. Garland doubled down, though, on his conspiracies, saying it's ridiculous and that everybody can see through this thin veil of deceit. He also said, when I was watching him on a recent interview, that he doesn't want to talk too much about, the powers that shouldn't be, because he's still, he knows that he is not far from a reproach. And so anything can happen. That's why he's not talking too much about certain things, but he's speaking his mind because he wants people to open their eyes and realize that it's not just what the narrative is, that they're painting the picture of this Keefe D and the so-called murder, alleged murderer that he claims to be or not, right? So anyway, Garland says, I don't think we'll ever find out who really did the shooting, all in quotes. He said, adding that while Davis might have been involved in the shooting, we know it wasn't no one individual. This is William Garland, talking about his son's assassination, and this one person can't truly be involved in the assassination alone. All right. So though an arrest has been made in the 27-year-old case, Garland said it does absolutely nothing for him as he continues to grieve his son. In quotes, I'm just as empty by the loss of my son as the rest of the world is, he said, in quotes. I have no feelings about it whatsoever because it's not true. It's not the truth. It's just another pawn being moved in the game of chess to create the continuous story that we don't know who did it. And that's what they want, end quote. All right. Coming out of the Chicago 107.5 radio station, there's an article that was written December 19th, 2023. Tupac Shakur, a murder suspect, granted bail for $750,000. A judge has granted bail for Keefe D's months after he has been charged in Tupac Shakur's murder. On Tuesday, January 9th, Keefe D. Davis appeared in court. No, that wasn't December 19th. My bad. That was January 8th. The article came out January 8th. On Tuesday, January 9th, Dwayne Keefe D. Davis appeared in court for a hearing to determine whether or not he will be released from jail ahead of his trial. His trial will be coming up in June, Pac's birthday month. TMZ reports that his legal team, why is TMZ reporting this? You know why. Remain adamant that their client would not be a flight risk or pose a danger to any witnesses. They also emphasized that Davis' innocence and repeated his previous claim that in his past stories about the night Shakur died was solely for entertainment purposes only. Come on. This is what Billy Garland is talking about. It's just a pawn moving up in the chess pieces. Let me stop right there for a quick second and read to you out of the FBI war on Tupac Shakur and other previous leaders, Black leaders, excuse me. All right, this is talking about this particular incident. It's talking about the night of the assassination. Okay, so here's an excerpt. U.S. intelligence appeared to have several motives for helping night and death row cops orchestrate Tupac Shakur's murder. U.S. intelligence first feared Tupac's political use of his new megastardom financed by his large wealth and power. Tupac's expanding influence and appeal, which went well beyond Black America, also would concern U.S. intelligence. Now, I'm going to stop there. Hold on a second. Because I wanted to point out to you all how they infiltrate to make us think that this is one thing and it's actually another. But hold on a second. Let me just get this page for you guys. So we're going to go back in 1992. Tupac Shakur gave the FBI another reason to target him. He started funding the New African People's Organization leadership the beginning of 1992. When Tupac sued the Oakland police for brutality, he hired NAPO National Chair Chokwe Lumumba, yes. He kept him as a consulting lawyer from then on. Tupac then officially hired his regular assistant and mentor, Watani Himba. He made the ex-Panther and NPO security director, Tahimba, I may be saying this wrong, sorry guys, his business manager. Tupac also promoted the New African Panthers in his lyrics and spoke at an NPO gatherings. All right, so he's been talking about this for 30 years and maybe 31, 32. Okay. So he's definitely been trying to bridge and pick up the mantle of where his parents, his forefathers were doing before him. And this was another reason why Pac was on their radar. Okay, listen, after the 1992 riots, which raged for several days, evidence supports that the U.S. intelligence also targeted particular activists whose parents were Panther leaders, including Chicago Fred Hampton Jr. and Tupac Shakur. The slain Chicago Panther leader's son, Fred Hampton Jr., had a rally to protest the Rodney King police acquittal. Hampton Jr. was Chicago's 22-year-old National People's Democratic URU movement leader. Hours after the rally, police and FBI agents picked Hampton up as he was walking with his 3-year-old daughter and arrested him on several charges. This is Fred Hampton's son, okay, who at the time was 22. So he's been picking up the mantle after his father was assassinated. Tupac was picking up the mantle after his stepfather was incarcerated. His mother beat some trial. They've been watching the youth. Okay. During his after getting Fred Hampton Jr.'s son, he was now trial and convicted and in prison. During his 9 years in prison, Fred Hampton Jr. reported that he believed were government murder attempts behind bars. Hampton also said that a New York attorney who worked to defend him from the continued police attack was herself murdered, and all of her legal papers on his case were stolen. Assata Shakur said the FBI had similar orchestrated the murder of her lawyer, whose wife found him killed in their house, and all of Assata's trial papers missing. Okay. This supports Hampton's belief that a later day FBI COINTELPRO orchestrated all these attacks. He further published pictures of his damaged car and grazed neck when gunmen shot at him and his mother, the first of 2 murder attempts in 2002. At the time, Hampton worked as a national chairman of the Prisoners of Conscience Committee. Hampton also often cited Tupac's importance as an activist. Okay. With Tupac's widespread fame in 1992, they wouldn't have targeted him as brazenly as they did Hampton. But U.S. intelligence had a particular long-time concern about political musicians' more sophisticated strategies for attacking them. Now, if we fast forward up to 1996, when Tupac was assassinated, and I just said how he was pretty much blocked in of the vehicle, is that not a sophisticated way? They're not going to just brazenly shoot him, right? It's not going to be just out in public, like where he's standing and there's somebody going to take a gun or some type of weapon and assassinate Pac. No, they made it look like, oh, this is a drive-by. This is just, retaliation from some other gang retaliation that happened, a couple of months ago, right? With Tupac's widespread fame by 1992, they wouldn't have targeted him as brazenly as they did with Hampton. But U.S. intelligence had a particular long-time concern about political musicians and more sophisticated strategies for attacking them. An exposed document reviewed by a 1976 congressional committee examining the FBI's co-intelligence program detailed many tactics used against political musicians. It instructed to show them as scurrilous and deprived. I might be saying that wrong, but y'all know what I'm trying to say. Call attention to their habits and living conditions. Explore every possible embarrassment. That sounds like ritual. What is it called? Humiliation rituals. Send in women and sex to break up marriages. Have members arrested on marijuana charges. Investigate personal conflicts or animosities between them. Investigate personal conflicts or animosities between them. What does that sound like? That sounds like the Biggie and Pac beef, or the East Coast, West Coast beef that was going on back then. Use narcotics and free sex to entrap. That sounds like what they did when they try to get Pac on a sexual or a hard R charge. When he said, listen, the girl came to me. Why are you not arresting her for her sexual acts? Right? So you're targeting me because of who I am. He said that in a news report, Tupac, after coming out of court. So they use narcotics and free sex to entrap. Use misinformation to confuse and disrupt. Get records of their bank accounts. Obtain specimens of their handwriting. Provoke target groups into rivals that may result in death. Now, what does that sound like again? The Biggie and Tupac beef. Provoke target groups into rivalries that may result in death. Evidence supports that U.S. intelligence used most of these tactics against Tupac. I'll repeat, evidence supports that U.S. intelligence used most of these tactics against Tupac. Intelligence-linked conversations such as Pat Buchanan blamed rappers for the LA riots, and U.S. intelligence particularly targeting those singing about the Rodney King incident. Tupac emerged as a public figure, an agitator, and critic in 1992. Where else did it say there? Because I wanted to just point out that was what I was looking for. that particular paragraph. That painted us a picture of how certain intelligence get down. And if they want to make things look a certain kind of way, that they have the ability and the authority to do so. And that, how do you let somebody who has been for the past, I don't know, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 years get on the bandwagon of just saying that they are part of a high profile murder and not be locked up behind it? So back to this article in regards to Keefe D now being out on bail of a $750,000 bail to be exact. So his lawyer says, in quotes, if Dwayne is so dangerous, if this case is so overwhelming, his guilt is so overwhelming, why did authorities wait 15 years to make an arrest? This is his lawyer pleading the case. He's posed no threat, right? I told you he was living in a community that's pretty, what we call suburban. He hasn't done any other crimes. He's been under the radar as far as that type of activity. And now all of a sudden, after 15 years later, now you want to arrest him? So somebody's digging, somebody's bringing something back up for this to be resurfaced. So his lawyer, attorney Robert Arroyo, argued per the ABC, like saying, I guess that this is the News Corporation. Arroyo also told the judge that Davis is a grandfather, and there's no other evidence that shows his client will be leaving the country. So now, because he's the grandfather, we should bring out the waterworks. Oh, don't put Grampy in the jail. If he's able to put up the funds, trial will begin. Davis has been locked up in the Clark County Detention Center in Las Vegas since last September. He was charged with open murder, with the use of a deadly weapon, with a gang enhancement, and pleaded not guilty at his arraignment, which was delayed twice due to his struggle to find legal representation. Davis' next court date is February 20th, and he's set to face trial on June 3rd. Tupac's birthday is June 16th. Now, I don't know about you all, but the way that Tupac's biological father has pointed out to us, and the way I've kind of been saying as well, is that there's just no way that this person is solely involved in this. But he is the only one that's actually still around, because Suge Knight is not talking. You're not going to get anything out of Suge Knight. He would be the next reliable source, eyewitness that can testify. That he saw who actually was the shooter. And I don't know, maybe he didn't. But I find that very hard to believe. He's in the driver's seat. Bullets are blazing out, right? I don't know. I mean, I'm sure he could probably say like he saw a hand. What color, description, I don't know. Some people kind of blank out when there's some kind of traumatic experience that happens to them. But he's, we're talking about Suge Knight, so I don't think he blanked out any of that stuff. But he's not going to cooperate in regards to this. He made it known that he's not saying anything. So again, it goes back to Keefe D. So it's like basically Keefe D's word against the state. It's going to be hard to, it's not going to stick. But what will stick is any drug charges that he, or any other charges that was going on in his life that he finagled to get out of or whatever. Like, I think that's what will really happen. I think that, again, disclaimer, no legal expertise here. I'm not a legal professional, but I feel that if anything, if he gets arrested, it'll be on whatever charges that he occurred, and not in conjunct with Pac's assassination. So that is it, guys. Really, I just wanted to for whatever my feel is towards Pac and stuff like that, the bottom line is that when the eyes can see, or the eye can see, and mass media, mainstream media, and now even social media will paint a picture, because social media is run by the same people that operates mainstream media. Don't get it twisted and think it's independent, because they work together. That's how they've been getting a lot of these young men on drug charges and RICO charges. If it was independent, the person who is responsible for that company has an obligation, whether to work with enforcement or not. So don't think just because they're operating on a big platform, social media platform, that they're solely independent. No, they still operate under those big mainstream people, and the mainstream people report to a certain other group of people, right? So that's why I'm like, you can't pull the wool over certain people's eyes. And then you got half of the other crowd, right, going with the narrative of, this is some real, that has to do with, retaliation for, snatching somebody's chain off, and then, that's a no-no, and that's really low-level hanging fruit stuff. That's what hood people do. I think the whole thing was orchestrated. I honestly don't think that there was any, and because Pac again was a young man, and he's being fed a narrative himself, right? And I'm not going to use his age as immaturity, because he was very mature for his age. But, some guys still do stupid things. It don't matter how old they are. But when you're talking about somebody like a Tupac, because you're not talking about a lower level rapper, somebody that's just starting out, somebody that's coming through the hood and then working their way up, and you forget who Tupac's family is. Some people weren't around. Some people don't understand that. but their family were what the powers that shouldn't be considered them as agitators, right? So yeah, I think that even the whole Orlando Anderson thing, that was all conspired. They needed something to make it stick. For now, you got probable cause because it's in retaliation, right? And somebody went to Pac's ear and said, look, there goes the guy right there. Because whoever, I don't know who it was that got their chain snatched off. It's a sign of disrespect, first of all, because they took off the death row necklace. And then I'm like, but why would they? Like that, see, when you start questioning all of it, it just sounds so like mediocre. Why would they still want to steal the death row? Like I don't know the culture like that out there in LA. New York City is kind of like that. I mean, but they just snatch. They don't care what it is. They'll snatch it off you. If it's a big chain, if it's death row, it don't matter what kind of chain it is. So that's why I'm like, if they target it specific, like you got to make it all stick. You got to make sense of why would that be so significant? And then death row was working with them too. Death row had police officers working on the payroll. That's city and government officials. So come on. So that one little incident, they're gonna puff it up to make it bigger than what it is. And that's where you got the whole, now Pac is like, oh, word, that's dude. Well, I'm gonna go step to him. And how Orlando Anderson didn't get beat up the way, like he got beat up, and did you look at the footage? Like, I don't know. I don't like Pac's biological father said, like, I'm not in for the conspiracies. But he knows that there's an operation working higher than just this whole storyline of Keefe D. But it just doesn't make sense of the other little moving parts. And so that's why I'm like, let me just come up here and talk about it really quickly, because that's going to be a thing that's going to be talked about coming soon. He's got Keefe D has another court appearance come February, and then the trial set. So everybody's going to be kind of glued to that. But again, he may get sentenced, but it's really going to be like for something. I feel it's going to be for something else. Or he may get acquitted. I don't know. Again, I'm not a legal expertise. I don't know anything about that kind of stuff like that. But I mean, like, look at the evidence that's being presented to us. And as far as this question, any intelligent person would question, why has this person been walking around this long and go on social media and talk about how he was involved and not be locked up? All right, y'all, that is it. That's what I just wanted to present to us. Just be on the lookout, be on the alert. They're doing a lot of other stuff now, a lot of things. People are getting hyped up with certain energies that are coming through right now. So it's a fiery time. So just be on the lookout. Keep your mind's eye open to what's real and the perception of what's real. I posted up about Cat Williams the other day, and again, some people are on the bandwagon about, he's a truth teller, and some people are like, oh, why are you hating on him? Why are you, it's not that we hating. It's just that we're trying to bring light and make it make sense for some of us, that he still operates on a degree with other people. So if he's solely removed and does his own thing as his own entity, and he's not dealing with any of the other industry people, then I could be like, all right, yeah, he's on the level. But he's still circulating this in those waters. So how could I really truly believe certain things that are said? Remember, everything that was going on wrong with Cat Williams, TMZ was reporting firsthand. How did TMZ get that information that quickly? I'm not saying Cat Williams is not truth telling when it comes to the industry, but at the same time, you still, like I said, swimming in certain waters. So yeah, I'm gonna just sit on the sideline and watch certain things. I mean, I like I said, when the eyes can see, you see it, and you can't unsee it and play dumb to it. You can could see certain things and then just turn a blind eye and be like, okay. But those who see it and they say something about it, we gotta, some of us gotta speak up. And he wasn't saying anything so significant or really detrimental that I was like, oh yeah, Cat. Like, he's just saying stuff that we know already. But like I said, he still swims in certain waters with certain people. So I don't know. I don't know if this is all just another hoodwink over us, right? To keep us, or keep some contained, right? Because as quickly as his whole, spiel for the 5 minutes, 15 minutes of glory, it took away from, people were just talking about TD Jakes being in them parties with Puffy. Like, you see how that just diverted that quickly? Like, you went from Puffy hearing all these allegations, but heinous allegations, I mean detrimental allegations, to now Cat Williams just, come on. If you can't see that, and is it the distraction? It's a deterrent. I wouldn't say it's a distraction. It's a deterrent to kind of move you off the path a little bit. Distraction is you completely like turned all the way around, so you don't see what's going on. Some of us see what's going on. Some of us like, wait a minute, hold up a second. You was just talking about Puffy and TD Jakes, like big time TD Jakes. Do you know how serious that and TD Jakes talking about? Well, and if I was there, so what? He said his hands, his I don't know. He said he's absolved from all that. But the fact that you said, and if I was there, so come on. So, and just as quickly as he said that, now we get Cat Williams talking about the same parties that TD Jakes and Puffy be at. You see what I'm saying? Like, come on. Like, they playing with certain people's intelligence. But again, those who were born at night weren't born last night. And certain things are being presented as deterrents, distractions, so that certain people don't see the real deal of things. And entertainment is just that. And Cat Williams is an entertainer. He's just that. And Cat Williams is not out here like on some, activism. I don't know if I'm sure he's probably given to people and donations, and he said it. He's given back to the cities that he's did his stand up in and stuff like that. So okay. But remember, these are tax write-offs too. Any type of donations, contributions, charitable work, charities, things of that nature, it could be tax written off, so you get that money back. So I don't know. Like I'm not here to cast stones at Cat. But that these are deterrents, and they're gonna keep bringing more deterrents and distractions to keep you away from then Cat Williams and the Epstein list. Like, come on. Like you just raveled all of that in 3 weeks. And nothing else. I don't think anything else is going to be. They're going to dangle the Epstein list again in the next, I don't know, couple months, maybe a year or two again. Because what happened with the first time when we heard about the Epstein list? Wasn't that like last year, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago? I don't know. But then it went radio silent. Nobody heard about that. Now it's resurfaced again. I don't know, guys. Stupidness. Don't lose sight. Don't let the dangling carrot trick you out of your intelligence. Just keep an open mind. All right. So with that all being said, I am going to sign off. Remember to check the community section for notifications or posts of anything. Again, not doing any readings at the moment, just going to be doing the shorts. May do midweek check-in, and but I'll definitely check in the community section, because that's where I'm posting everything as far as updates and notifications. What changes are going on with the channel, if and any. All right, y'all. Catch you on the flip side.